On this episode of the Turnbuckle, Carl Anderson will have to vacate the NJPW Never Openweight title if he works the WWE Crown Jewel. The Rock's daughter Ava Raine made her NXT debut. Warner Brothers could collaborate with AEW in a new television deal. And Lana drops the hint that Miro is missing out because Tony Khan only pushes his favorites in AEW. Folks, you already know what time it is. It's time to hit a bullhammer into some wrestling news. Why? Because it's time for the Turnbuckle. Damn it. I kind of want to keep that in now just because that was just really funny. That was just a really funny combination. I really like that intro. It was a very solid intro. And then it just fell apart. That was great. I'm trying not to swear. Oh my Lord. Okay, where are we? Help, man. It really got me. Carl Anderson. All right. So for those of you who don't know, Carl Anderson got booked to do two shows at the same time. He's essentially pulling a ravishing Rick Rude, except this time one isn't pre-taped. Now both are happening at the same time. And so far, NJPW are like, you're going to work the show, right? And Carl's like, no, And I think he was like, he said, I swear he was like on a call or something. And he was like, yeah, they never told me that I was going to be on that, date. And I don't want to work that date, or he said something, and then he like made a joke about it or something. But now in NJPW, he's like, haha, no, seriously though, you're going to work the date though, right? You are going to get here, right? You are a champion, so we could really use you. Okay. NJPW had announced Anderson's match with Hikuleo for the Never Openweight Championship on October 4th. Despite comments from Doc Gallows to the contrary in Anderson's video, the booking was made through the appropriate channels and with Anderson's expressed approval. Okay, so this is what I was alluding to, because I was like, I swear he was like, oh, they never told me about it. But apparently they did. There was a big mutual, like, you already know what's going on. You already know. However, after the match's announcement, both Gallows and Anderson would appear in the October 10th edition of WWE's Monday Night Raw broadcast. This led to WWE announcing a match featuring both men for their Saudi Arabia event on November 5th, in direct conflict with Anderson's prior commitment. NJPW has for the past several days attempted to negotiate with Anderson, but has not been met with a response. Should Anderson decide to renegade on his scheduled championship match, he will be required to vacate the Never Openweight Championship and return the title belt to NJPW immediately. Like right now? Yes! Like right this second. Okay, SpongeBob reference. It doesn't matter. So, I mean, if you're Carl, what do you do in this situation? Because you can't go to, you can't go to Saudi Arabia and then all the way to Japan unless you go to Saudi Arabia, you do the finger poke of doom, 1, 2, 3. The minute the 3 count is made, you burrito roll your way out of the ring. You get the cart that took Triple H? No. You know the cart that took The Undertaker up after the WrestleMania 28 match with Triple H? You hop on that, right? Crank it, full speed, you're out of there, right? You've already got the flight booked. You're a famous person, so they'll just put you on a private jet. You throw your luggage in there, right? And then you just hop on the plane. You weave in and out. You know what I'm saying? Air traffic. Who's that? Hang up the phone, right? And then you land. Okay. You jump out. All right. Remember, make sure you've got the Never Openweight title. You sprint. Okay. You're in there. Bob's your uncle. All right. Bing bang. Bish bosh. You're good to go. Everyone's happy. Well, I don't think anybody in Saudi Arabia is going to be happy because of the finger poke of doom. But I tell you what, let me tell you something right now. The dirt sheets, okay, and the wrestling, the internet wrestling community would implode upon itself. And I tell you what, man, it'd be very interesting, okay? So, but no, I don't know. I don't know what he would do. I mean, it definitely sounds like he's not going. It sounds like he is not going at all. He was like, hey, I didn't know about it, even though you did. And now it's just, and apparently it's been met with like no response. That's a me move, to be fairly honest with you. I'm not even going to lie. If like, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it. Maybe I wouldn't react in this sort of way. Maybe I would, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's their belt. It's their like promotion. The least you could do is like get in contact with them and be like, hey, I'm not coming. Like, y'all are absolutely insane. It's in Saudi Arabia. What makes you think I'm going to make it to Japan? You know, but I assume, now here's the deal. I assume that NJPW is like, so you're coming to our show, right? Like, you're not going to theirs. Like, I hope NJPW isn't like that. I hope NJPW is like, no, we totally understand. You know, you don't have a title over there, but you have a title over here, and you're going to that show. That's very interesting, you know. I don't know. I'm not NJPW, and I'm not Carl Anderson. It sounds like he's not going. It sounds like it sounds like he's not going, and it also sounds like he doesn't want to give the title up. Because I feel like if that was the case, he would have been like, hey, I'm not going to make it to the show. So, here, you know. But so far, he hasn't done that, which is dumb, because it's like, oh, I want to keep the title. Okay, but you're not going to keep the title for much longer if you can't go to the show. So, either give them the title back so that they don't yell at you, or go to the show. It's either one of the two. You don't have a say in the matter, because they're just going to strip you of the title anyway. And then they're going to be like, and then they're going to do the thing where like, hey, now we want the belt back. Now, you know? So, I don't know, man. If you're Carl Anderson, the best thing for you would probably be to literally say, hey, I cannot go. You don't have to do the thing where you got a doctor's appointment and you don't feel like going, so you just don't go. Call them and go, hey, I'm canceling the appointment. Because it messes up their schedule if you do that. Or if you don't do that, if anything. So, it doesn't sound like he's going, folks. Next, we're going to talk about The Rock's daughter, Ava Raine, and how she made her NXT debut. So, NXT, it was last night, and Joe Gacy was out there, and he was like, I don't know, don't ask me. It's like a Bray Wyatt promo. He was like, yada, yada, remove your mask, yada, yada. And then the grizzled young veterans, they removed their mask and they, I don't know, talked a bunch of garbaggio. They were like, oh, something about masks and hatred or whatever. And then Ava Raine. Now, okay, I had no clue who this was. Not a clue. I think at one point I was like, oh, that must have been somebody from the Performance Center, somebody who was like, who I read about, who was starting, and then like, you know, we kind of didn't hear about them. The crowd reacted. Now that is something I will be honest with. The crowd genuinely reacted like, oh wow, I can't believe it, you know. But again, I had no idea who this person was. And then I read the article and it turns out it's The Rock's daughter. And I was like, oh well, look at that. So now she's in wrestling. Great. But she's with the Schism, which, you know what, is actually very interesting. It's very interesting that she's going down this road, you know? It's not like Solo Sikoa, where he was kind of like his own man, and it was pretty easy to tell from the start that he was going to be with the Bloodline, and also it did not take that long at all, you know? So, also I like this too. My favorite part of stables is when it's the manager and the tag team, right? But then they get a woman involved, and now it's like, yes! Now we can have now we can just fling each other around the ring. This is great. You can have women's matches. You can have men's matches. You can have singles matches. You can have, the trios matches. You can have, you know, tag team. You can do anything now. And the best part is you can do women's matches now. So now you can feud with whoever you want to. Now you have nothing stopping you. I love when that happens. So, I mean, this is actually very significant. It is. Because this is another member of the Rock's family. Is this the Anoa'i family? Is she part of the... Yes? Because she's The Rock's daughter, so obviously. What? Or maybe not the Anoa'i... See, okay, no, maybe they are. I don't know. And then I don't want to, like, get it wrong and then feel like I'm being insensitive, and I'm not. And if I am wrong, then I deeply apologize. But no, so this is another part of The Rock's family being, woven into the wrestling business, and you love seeing stuff like that. You know, your Dominic Mysterios and your Randy Ortons and what have you. You know, you love seeing stuff like that because it's a generational thing. It's really nice, and I'm not trying to be funny. I love stuff like this. I like when you see like other Brock Anderson. You know, like other people coming in and being like, hey, my dad did this, and I remember being in the crowd and watching my dad do all this crazy. Or my mom do all this crazy stuff, and now I'm here, you know, and it's like, will I get the chance to do this with my siblings or with my parents or something? Possibly not, but it's like, okay, so do any of you have like a sibling, right? And like, you went to high school, right? And by the time before you left high school, your sibling joined the high school that you were at. So like you were a sophomore and your sibling was like a freshman, or like you were like a senior and your sibling was like a junior or something. Like, have you ever, that happened to me. So when I was in high school, right, I was a senior and my little brother came in and he was a freshman. So every now and again, we would kind of like see each other occasionally. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to like happen, but like, it's sort of along the lines of that. It's just really, I just think it's really nice. And also, I just really like that The Rock's daughter is here. It's just really wholesome. She gives you that wholesome feeling, family, it's great. So I'm just happy for her, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do. That's why I said it's very interesting that she's in this stable, because it's like, I'm very curious to see where this is going to go, So only time will tell. Next, Warner Brothers could collaborate with AEW in a new television deal. On the latest edition of John Arezzi's Pro Wrestling Spotlight podcast, that's a mouthful, geez Louise, Arezzi reported that Warner Brothers wants to keep on doing long-term business with AEW and plans on collaborating with AEW for a new TV deal. They see this property, AEW, as someone they want to be in business with long-term. They had a contract which was absorbed by them when they merged that wasn't the sweetest deal for TNT and TBS. It was kind of one-sided. So now what they are trying to do is kind of collaborate and work together so they can work on the next long-term deal with them. I can't get into it too much, but there's a lot of faith behind AEW, the AEW product right now from the folks at Warner Brothers Discovery. The strategy is that they are pushing AEW into the sports category, not the entertainment category. That is very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting because I feel like, okay, how do I word this? They're slowly inkling their way into the frame, and like football and hockey and baseball are like, who's that? And Warner Brothers like, this is wrestling, okay? So I'm going to need the three of you to get along with them, all right? And I'm also going to need you to get along with the three of them. Which I feel like already happens, so, because you always have those, the heels come out and be like, insert famous sports team from this state here stinks, and then the crowd is like, wah, or sometimes they'll be like, insert famous food that this state is known for here stinks, and then like, so I think in some regard. Also, with UFC in the WWE, and then we got Paige Van Zandt and what have you in AEW. So I would argue that sports is already a thing with wrestling. The thing is, though, with Warner Brothers coming in and being like, all right, now we want to actually like put you at the table, it's like, now it's going to get even more shine. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is actually going to help push wrestling as a whole, not just AEW. I feel as though that this is going to help push wrestling as a whole into the mainstream. Because if you've got a big company, right, like Warner Brothers, right, and they're taking AEW, that is actually doing relatively well, right, on its own, in a vacuum, it is actually doing relatively well. And you take Warner Brothers and you take that combination, you say, and Warner Brothers says, all right, we are now going to put you in the sports category. Not only will more eyes be on the product, but more eyes will sort of be able to be open to a new style of like, I don't know, I don't even know how to put it. It's a new thing. How do I put this? Because I mean, yes, on one hand, it is a sport, but at the same time, it's not real. So, like, it's predetermined. And that's kind of what, like, okay. The reason why Vince made it entertainment and not, like, a sport is because of all the stuff he would have to pay for. So you would have to pay for, like, photographers and whatever, like, ringside, what's the word? Aid, I guess, you would have to pay for because it's considered an actual sport. Vince didn't do that, which is why it's not considered, should say the WWE is not considered a sport. That's why it's called the WWE, because Vince was like, well, I'm not going to be spending all that money on that, so we're just going to go ahead and say it's fake so I can save a couple extra dollars during tax season, So I think but here's the deal, AEW is different, and I feel, but see, now, I can't sit here and say that Tony Khan is going to do something like that because I feel like at the end of the day, right, if you told Tony Khan, hey, you're going to have to spend all this money, if you want to consider AEW as a sport, you too are also going to have to spend all this money. We're not just going to like give you the sweet treatment, If you want AEW, at least AEW itself, to be considered in some type of sports category of some kind, which I feel like it already is, right? But if you want to put it in like the sports category, I don't know what I'm saying. The point is, you're going to have to spend the money in order for that to happen. And I feel like I feel like the first week Tony Khan is going to be like, yeah, no problem. But then like, I don't know, like somewhere down the line, Tony Khan is going to be like, this costs me a lot of money. I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. So he's going to probably like pull the plug and be like, yeah, we're just going to quietly sweep that away. We don't have to talk about that. Okay, but there's like 16 people here last week and now there's like 5. What's going on? They got sick, So Now, I'm not saying that that's probably going to happen, but I feel like it moving into the sports category is giving some zhuzh, okay? Some seriousness, some meat, all right? It's giving it some fat. It's putting some fat on the bone, all right, on the meat. It's like 75-25, one of those, like meat. Anyway, yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. None of that can happen at all, But, I mean, again, they're putting it in the sports category, so that has to count for something, right? It's got to count for something, at least in my eyes. Finally, Lana drops a hint that Miro is missing out because Tony Khan only pushes his favorites. So, while speaking on Busted Open Radio, CJ Perry believed that Tony Khan had a vision despite Miro not being featured on television much. She also hinted that Miro is missing out because Tony Khan only pushes his favorites in AEW. At the end of the day, you still have the execs who's going to make that final call, and that's what it is. Like Tony Khan has his favorites, and he's going to push the favorites. Just like Vince McMahon will push his favorites. Just like Triple H is going to push his people, and in show business, it's nothing personal. It just is what it is. I don't think it's favorites. I don't know. You see, here's what I want to do. I want to make a comparison to Wrestling Empire, if I could be so bold. And you know what? It's my show, so I'm going to be bold. On Wrestling Empire, right, you don't want to... Okay, I don't even know how to word this properly. Miro's a good wrestler, and you can put him in the ring with another good wrestler, and it will generate a good match. But you can't put him in the ring with a crap wrestler because it will not generate a very convincing match, because on one hand the chemistry won't be there because it'll be too much offense on one side because Miro is an absolute beast, and on the other hand it won't be interesting because everyone will be like, oh well, Miro's obviously winning. It would be like if Miro went up against Brian Pillman Jr. It would be like that in the sense of like, all right, well, we know who's winning, and we're not saying that Brian is like a bad wrestler, but okay, well, see, this is why it's hard to make that comparison, because this is real life, and Wrestling Empire is just the most absurd simulation I think anyone's ever laid their eyes on. So I think you can get a good match out of those two people, but at the same time, I feel like I don't know. It's not favorites. It can't be. There's too many people on the roster for it to be, because there's so many people. It'd be weird to have, like, just an overabundance of characters, and you're still pushing your favorites. At that point, you're wasting time. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your talent. You're wasting the viewership, right? Because the viewers are sitting here and they're like, I don't know why I'm watching this. It's good, but it's not what I want to see, If all this is, right, is Tony Khan just being like, I have this toy, and I have that toy, and I like these toys, so I'm going to make them wrestle. And everyone's like, okay, but you have an entire closet full of other toys that you don't play with. And Tony Khan's like, I don't care. I like these toys, and I'm going to use them. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, at least to me. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that I feel like if that was the case, we would be able to tell. And obviously, you're going to have the I don't even know what to call them, the geeks. I know that a lot of people use that word, so I'm just going to use it. The geeks, the wrestling geeks, they like to do the thing where, oh, Tony Khan bad, fed good, and vice versa. But I really don't think that it's that. At least I don't think so. It doesn't make a lot of sense if that's the case. It doesn't make sense. Why would Tony Khan do that to himself? Why would he jeopardize? Because he's jeopardizing his company at the end of the day. If he's just like, no, actually, these two. Like, no, what are you talking about? Because then the crowd's going to be like, no, I don't want this guy. And then but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't think that that's what Tony Khan is doing. You could argue that CJ Perry is manifesting that viewpoint, considering the fact that Miro hasn't been. She's right. Miro has not been on TV. Does that mean that Miro is not Tony Khan's favorite? I don't think so. I just think that, I mean, honestly, man, if all Miro is going to do is make promos to God, then yeah, take him off of TV. He's not doing anything. He was in, what was he? It was like wasn't he in like the last thing he was doing? He was in a 6-man tag with I don't even remember. It was like FTR or something, and they took on what are their names? The spooky guys with Brody King, the House of Black. There you go. Thank you. Voices in my head. No, but I mean, if he's not doing anything, he's not doing anything. Don't put him on TV if he doesn't have anything going on. And it's more of annoying if he's on TV and he doesn't have a storyline, because then that's the first thing everybody's going to say is, oh, put him in something. And it's like, okay, well, we don't have anything with him. And then everyone's going to be like, all right, fair enough, because he's still wrestling, so I can't really say anything. So at the end of the day, folks, I really don't think that that's true. I just think CJ Perry's a little bit upset because Miro's not being featured on TV. And you know what? I agree with her. I think Miro should be on TV. But again, if there's nothing planned, then there's nothing we can do. When we talk about Carl Anderson, we'll have to vacate the NJPW title. I think that that's what's going to happen, folks. Honestly, I said all that to say this. He's vacating the title. And if he doesn't do it by choice, they're going to make him do it. So, like, literally, we don't have anything left. This is one of those things where we genuinely have to just wait. And it's like a train, you know? Like, sure, step on the tracks. I don't really care. You can step wherever you want. The train is either going to come or it's not going to come. Figure it out, you know? I don't know what that... Anyway, The Rock starter debuted on NXT. She's with the Schism. This is good. I have faith. I have faith. I feel safe, right? I feel warm. I feel cozy with this. I just have a feeling that this is going to go many different ways and it's going to be really well. I almost don't even want her to be a part of the bloodline. I just want her to be her own thing. Maybe she usurps Roman. That would be perfection. Perfection. If she usurped Roman Reigns as the Uwu champion, that would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, Warner Brothers is collaborating with AEW. They're putting them in the sports category. Good, right? More eyes on the product, right? More significance, more weight, you know what I'm saying? And then Lana drops in that Miro is missing out because Tony Khan has favorites. Look, I don't think that's true. I just think that there's no story going on right now, and they're kind of just waiting, right? Okay, yeah, Miro's waiting, but I don't think Miro's waiting. I don't know who's waiting. I don't know why I said that. But there's no favorites. I don't think that that's true. I mean, at least I don't think that's true. Do you think that Tony Khan is pushing his favorites in AEW? If so, let me know in the comments. Folks, I'm going to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs all around.